here's the big question. How are entrepreneurs like us, who have been hustling and struggling to make it to success, who seem to make it one step forward only to fall two steps back, who are dedicated, determined, and driven, how do we finally break through and win? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Brian Kelly, and this is the Mind, Body, Business Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mind, Body, Business Show. We have another fantastic episode lined up for you tonight. You do not want to miss this. I kid you not. There is a doctor in the house tonight. I am not kidding again. Yes, we have the amazing Amy Saltzman is with us here, and she is literally like scratching and clawing at the monitor saying, Brian, let me in. Let's get this thing rolling. And she will be coming on in just a moment, I promise. The Mind, Body, Business Show is a show that I had created with you in mind. And I'm not kidding when I say that. I'm looking to help business owners, entrepreneurs, whether you're a solopreneur, a highly successful entrepreneur or business person. This show is for you because I interview only very successful entrepreneurs from all over the world. Been doing it for, going on 5 years now. And the amount of wisdom and value and tips and strategies that I have personally seen, witnessed, and employed myself as a direct result of interviewing these amazing individuals is unquantifiably beneficial, unquantifiably financially worthwhile. I can't think of the right word. It is unbelievably powerful and valuable. And I know tonight Amy Saltzman will be no different than all of those who came before her and those that will come after, because she's an amazing woman. She's accomplished much. She's doing many things. She is a doctor, and she is very bright, very astute, and she loves helping people. That's what I love most about the folks that I get to interview on this show. They all have that one common theme. And so Mind, Body, Business Show is about the 3 pillars of success. I studied for about 10 years, only successful people. Thought, what is it that makes them tick? What are their secrets to success? The interesting thing is there are no secrets. It's widely known, but not many people realize that. And so what I found were 3 pillars of success. They kept bubbling to the top every time I would look into and study these successful people. Like, there are mentors of mine, physically, people that I look up to, that I worked with, whom I became their lead trainer on their stage after years of working with them. There are authors of books. There are industry leaders, people that are alive and with us, people that have been long gone since before that I studied. And these 3 pillars kept bubbling to the top, and they are the very namesake of this show. Mind, that means that to a person, these successful individuals had developed a very powerful, very positive, and most importantly, a very flexible mindset. And mindset really is the cornerstone to all success or lack thereof. And then there was body. Body meant that these individuals took care of themselves, literally, physically and nutritionally. Very simple, straightforward. Business, multifaceted arena in business. And these individuals had mastered the various skill sets that are necessary to develop, to create, to grow, to thrive, to scale a successful business. What kind of skill sets are we talking about? You've heard of many of them: as sales, marketing, leadership, team building, systematizing. I could go on and on and on. There are many. And you're probably thinking, well, Brian, if I master all of those skill sets, mastery takes a long time. And you're right. The cool thing and the very wonderful thing is you only have to master just one. You don't have to spend your life and beyond, because it would take more than a lifetime to master every skill set. If you master just this one, you can leverage all these skill sets so that you can then bring in those who have already or are in the process of mastering them, so that you don't have to spend your time, because let's face it, you may not ever master every skill set. And what is that one skill set? Does anybody want to know? Are you curious? Raise your hand, put it in the comments. I won't wait for you. I'm going to let you know what it is. That one skill set, if you are to master it right now and put everything you have into mastering it, and that is the skill set of leadership. Even if you have no team and you are a solopreneur, you want to cultivate actually a culture in your business as if you were one of your own team members, and how would you treat yourself? And there's a whole topic on that, and that's for another day. Leadership, many books on the topic. Buy them, get them. In fact, I'll give you a resource where you can find some great books on leadership here in just a moment. In fact, we'll do that like right about now, because another thing I found about those highly successful individuals was that to a person, they are also very avid readers of books. That's right, readers of books. And with that, I would like to segue very quickly into a little segment I affectionately call bookmarks. And then we'll get back with Amy Saltzman. She is coming on. I kid you not. So let's get this going.
Bookmarks. Born to read. Bookmarks. Ready, steady, read. Bookmarks. Brought to you by reachyourpeaklibrary.com.
There you see it, reachyourpeaklibrary.com. A real quick word of advice. Now, various resources, books, things of that nature will be mentioned on this show. And I know, being like you, that you'll have that itch to go typing off and checking it out while the show is going on, while you're either watching it live. I hope you're watching it live on the mindbodybusinessshow.com. You can register and get notified when we go live there for free. You actually get a gift for doing that. Or you're listening to it on podcast, or you're watching the video after the fact on a recorded version. No matter what the case is, what you want to do, this is my advice to you, is to stay focused on what Amy Saltzman has to say. Not on what I have to say, but what Amy, this is where the juice is. This is where you're going to get the golden nuggets that can take you and propel you to a higher level, much higher level of success than you are today. That's the whole purpose of the show. I would hate for you to be going off, focusing on and typing and looking and researching other things that you're hearing about on the show while the show is going on, and then because of your focus, miss that one golden nugget that could literally change your life forever. I know this to be true and factual, that it is very vitally important for you to focus, not on me again, but on what Amy has to say when she comes on, because you are going to be so grateful and thankful that you did. The thing is, the magic happens in the room. I used to speak from stage a lot. And back then, there were times in the beginning of my walk through the journey of becoming a better speaker, I would notice someone get up and walk and leave the room. And I know I'm about to get to the juicy part. I'm the speaker. I know what the good stuff is at that point. And they're either looking at their phone because they got that all important text message, or they left because they had to go hit the restroom. Whatever the case may be, you want to stay present in the room so you don't miss what could possibly be that one moment that changes your life for the better forever. That is my soapbox moment. I'm officially stepping down from that now. reachyourpeaklibrary.com is a website that I had developed with you in mind yet again. It is basically a collection of books that I personally have read and now I vet. And here's the reason. I was not an avid reader until about the age of 47, which is roughly 12 years ago. I'm giving you a moment to do the math because you're all curious. And the thing is I realized after starting to read voraciously that, oh my gosh, these have an absolute profound effect on my business life and oftentimes also in my personal life. And I decided to start having my team collect, and I'd say, here's the next book, put it on the site, put it on the site, put it on the site. And that's what this is. reachyourpeaklibrary.com is only those books that had that kind of effect on me. So not every book I've ever read is on here, only those that I personally vet. So at least you can go to one resource and have, some sense of knowing that you're not going to be wasting your time. Your odds of doing that are lessened, I should say. There's no guarantee that it'll have a profound effect on you as it did with me, but the odds are greater because at least it did have that effect on at least one other successful individual. That's why I put this together. And the buttons, they're here to buy. It goes to Amazon. This is not for the purpose of making money. It's here as a resource for you. If you want to buy it at Barnes & Noble, anywhere else, it doesn't matter. Find the book you want. Go get it wherever you want to get it, but just go get it and then read it and then apply what you've read. That is that. And here we go. I am done yakking because you know what? This show is about Amy Saltzman. It's not about me. And so with that, I want to bring on this wonderful, magnificent young lady. Let's introduce her right now. Here we go.
It's time for the Guest Expert Spotlight. Savvy, skillful, professional, adept, trained, big league, qualified.
And there she is, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it is the one. It is the only Amy Saltzman. Woo-hoo.
Very happy to be with you.
Oh, so ecstatically happy to have you here, Amy. And I cannot wait to share you with everyone who is watching us live, who is listening to us on the recording, who's listening to the recorded video or watching the recorded video, because I've done this a long time and I can tell when someone has an it factor. You have it. We had a nice chat before the show, and I think people are going to be refreshed by what you have to offer, your knowledge, your wisdom, your value, your experience, everything all rolled up into one beautiful package. This is going to be a fun show. If you don't mind, Amy, I would like to do a formal introduction of you so people get somewhat of a sense of your background. Oh, I saw the big thumbs up. All right, I don't even have to ask. Thank you very much. Here we go. Dr. Amy Saltzman is a former competitive gymnast, physician, author, mother, and victim/sur-thrivor of decades of covert emotional abuse. Dr. Amy is an expert on protecting children from abuse and has a knack for translating difficult topics into quote unquote kid speak. She is passionate about preventing abuse in sports, schools, music programs, religious settings, and community activities. In the wake of the Yates report detailing extensive abuse in the National Women's Soccer League, Dr. Saltzman, she was appointed to serve on the U.S. Soccer Federation Participant Safety Task Force. The task force was created to protect all athletes from the youngest youth players to professionals from abuse. Dr. Saltzman, that's her right there, Amy, has also created internationally acclaimed programs, authored not one, not two, but 3 books, very impressive, and recorded guided practices for teaching mindfulness to both athletes, entrepreneurs, and other high performers, and to children and adolescents to ease stress and difficult emotions. Oh, powerful intro. And I cannot be more proud and happy to have you here, Amy. Officially and formally now, welcome to the show, Amy. Appreciate you for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, this is going to be fantastic. And what I like to open each show with is just the topic of mindset and, what makes successful individuals such as yourself tick. I am so deeply curious as to, what is going on in each individual's mind, yours included. Like, let's say, being an entrepreneur, let's just take that. That is usually not a very, well, I should say always, it's not a simple thing to do because there are many obstacles we must overcome. I mean, our very job is to solve problems. That is it. And so we're always faced with problems every day, nonstop. And that is not for everybody. And that's okay. But for you, Amy, when you get up in the morning, when your eyes open, you wake up, you're coming to, and you're now fully aware, what is going on in your beautiful brain that is keeping you driven, keeping you motivated, keeping you hyper-focused on what you want to achieve in your business and in your life in helping to serve others?
I think if I had to pick a guiding principle, it would be compassion for others and compassion for myself.
And see, there's a theme here. Which one came first? I'm talking to the audience here. Compassion for self or others? I think you all know. She said others first and then self. Both are equally as important, but here's the thing. She is driven by others first. And it is equally as important to be also cognizant of what you're doing for yourself. Because without you being able to achieve your own peak performance, how are you going to help others? I mean, you just said an entire show's worth of information in that one answer, Amy. That was phenomenal, because these are the little things I love to pull out and extract and let people know. It's like, look, success is not rocket science. It's just really paying attention to the subtleties of what's going on up here and what's coming out of the mouth, because that's an extension of what's going on in your mind. And Amy, you just said it beautifully, in my humble opinion. You're all about others first, but you do not discount the importance of yourself, thankfully, because a lot of people think, I'm just going to work for others. I'm doing everything for others, but I'm going to let myself go to crap and lose sleep and not take care of my health. Have
Well,
you
we do that, actually, we can't be compassionate or serve others well. So
Exactly.
they go hand in hand.
Yes. And God bless you for saying that, because I know so many. I am a card carrying member, a former member of doing just that, where, I would just be insanely busy and say, I'm just here to help other people, but I let my health go to crap. I let my marriage almost go to crap. And thankfully, my wife said, let's sit down, let's have a chat. And we got through it. And she's my high school sweetheart. She's my why. We're still together, happily married, and loving life. It's just, yeah, you got to take care of yourself. And, you're in the airplane and the masks come down, they're giving that whole speech. They always say, put the mask over yourself first. And you're thinking, man, that seems selfish. But if you're not okay and you're not getting oxygen, how are you going to help your kid next to you if they're in the seat, right? I mean, it makes sense. So you really
Exactly.
need to be self-mindful. And thank you for right off the bat stating the importance of that. And I love what it is, what you stand for. We had a great little chat in the beginning, and you called out a couple of terms I personally was not familiar with in the beginning, and there were a couple of things. Gosh darn it, I'm looking for them that I hadn't heard these terms. There was one about spider, I remember, and what was the other? There was another one. Gosh darn it, there's two terms that really had me curious. Like, okay,
Were
let's
we
talk about the
talking
spider
about
one.
covert emotional abuse?
Yeah, it had to do with that. It was I forget, it started with a G, but I'm not going to worry about it.
Grooming.
Grooming, that's it. Grooming. I had not heard about this term grooming, or the spider detection, I think it was called. So I'd really love to understand at a deeper level what those mean in the context of what you do for people, like grooming and
Okay, so let me, we're going to talk first about sports, because that's kind of my primary passion. But these behaviors that I'm talking about show up in schools, in community activities, in religious settings, in businesses, in cults, in intimate relationships. And really, my intention is to teach parents to empower their children, teens, and young adults to spot the behaviors of what I call sneaky spiders, to spot the behaviors of grooming, and which can also be called covert emotional abuse, and then also to spot the behaviors, the more obvious behaviors of overt emotional abuse, like the yelling and the demeaning that we were talking about with your football coach, the physical abuse, and then sexual abuse, so that their children of whatever age are empowered to say to their parent or to a trusted adult, hey, mom or dad, I think my coach or my math teacher or my theater director is a sneaky spider, or this is what this person's doing and it doesn't feel right to me. So it's to educate the child, the parent, the family, hopefully actually the institutions, to spot these behaviors early so that people are not being abused, that we stop it early. So prevention.
Yeah, I love this. And you got me thinking even more, as we were talking before the show about my experience in youth football. And it just occurred to me, my God, it had a big impact on me, because the coach didn't yell at us to yell at us. It was just the way they knew how to, that was their way of getting the most out of the kids. And we were young. I mean, geez, I forget how old we were. It was a long time ago, 8, 9, 10, something like that. And it's tackle football, full contact, full speed, crushing into each other. We did calisthenics, like leg lifts and things. And he literally would take us to the point of crying, all of us. And he wouldn't stop until we were crying. and we would do calisthenics with a mouthpiece or running exercises like crawling fast with mouthpieces in our mouths. It's hard to breathe and we're bawling because we can't breathe. And I came to the conclusion that I could not be successful unless I suffered. That's what I got out of that.
Right. And the thing is, it's fairly common in sports, somewhat in performing arts, sometimes in schools, but we often will put up behaviors particularly from a sports coach, that we wouldn't tolerate in a school, or, and so one of my questions is, would this behavior be okay in a school? Would this behavior be okay in a boardroom? And if you can't answer yes to both of those questions, then the behavior is abusive. And you may not know why, but at least you know that it's abusive.
Interesting. And is it because that was, again, a long time ago and no one knew any different? I mean, we had parents observing this on the sidelines watching. No one said a thing. It was just the way it was done. But now
right,
looking
and so
back,
then as a kid, you think, oh, well, my parents watching, so it must be okay.
Right, exactly. And I need to suffer to some degree in order to become a successful football player, or take that and project it forward, a successful person.
Right.
So yeah, absolutely. And I was very into sports in all of the sports, and football was just one of them. And I was telling you before that the games were fun. Oh my God, they were so fun. That's why I did it. The practices were literal torture. Looking back on them, they were torturous. And that is why I ended up quitting after my 3 little seasons of being a youth football player. Never played again because of that. And I loved the games. I loved playing the sport. Looking back, I didn't even know that, this was all because of the quote unquote, if you call it abuse, verbal abuse that went on.
For sure, verbal abuse. And it sounds like also some physical abuse in terms of the drills.
Yeah, the drills were, oh my God. I don't know if you know what tackling dummies are, those big round things.
Oh yeah, I know.
So they would lay them down on the ground to create, and 2 on one side, 2 on the other, to create a channel. And we would line up opposite ends, and he would say hike, and we would run full speed and crash into each other.
Right. We also didn't know a ton about concussions back then either. Yeah. But one of the things is for people to learn what specific, very subtle emotional behaviors are abusive, what obvious emotional behaviors are abusive, and then really delineating physical abuse, including, making people run till they cry, or till they vomit, or till they're dehydrated. Things like making people have limited, really reduced weight. In some cases, coaches making people dope.
Oh yeah.
And all of that, or coaches making players ignore trainers or doctors, all of that falls under physical abuse. And then also giving people, especially kids, empowering kids with anatomically correct language to talk about sexual abuse, because the data shows that kids who know proper terminology are much less likely to be abused than kids who don't.
Interesting. Hey, quick question. Did my video stop on your end?
It did. I was thinking, where did Brian go?
All right. Well, we're just going to leave you at the forefront for the rest of the show, because I'm doing everything I can to bring it back, but that's okay. It's about you. And so if you don't mind, we'll just keep you up front and center the entire rest of the show.
That's fine. I am glad to hear your voice, because I thought maybe I'm just going to have to talk for the next hour till Brian comes back.
Oh my gosh.
Ask myself my own questions and keep going.
That would be awesome. It's a one-woman show. I love it. Yes. This has never happened. This is the absolute first time it's ever happened, but that's okay. We go with it. The show must go on. And really the most important part is the audio. And let's be honest, you are far better looking than I am. So it's all good. It's all good.
No, I think we're both doing well for our age. So there you go.
Thank you for your kindness. It's very, very kind of you. So yeah, so I'm curious. This is so like different for me, and in a great way. I am learning new things. That's one things I love about being a host of this show. I'm constantly learning. You're a doctor, so can you go down that path of what you're a doctor in, and the kinds of things you specialize in, so people get an even deeper look into your credentials and your believability, which is great in my mind.
Yeah, so I have three hats that we talked about. So my first hat is I'm a physician. I went to conventional medical school. I did a conventional residency. I was chief resident for a year. And now I have a holistic medicine practice, and I've been practicing holistic medicine for over 30 years now. So long before it was cool or a thing, really. I served on the board of the American Holistic Medical Association back in the day. It's changed its name several times now, but I'm board certified in integrative and holistic medicine. So that's one hat. My other hat is that I'm a mindfulness coach. So I coach athletes, entrepreneurs, children, parents, healthcare workers, teachers, principals in applying the principles of mindfulness, which is a lot of what you were talking about with mindset before, to enhancing their performance, whether it's on the athletic field, in business, in school, enhancing team communication. And then my third hat is this hat of being an abuse prevention expert and teaching children, teens, and young adults to recognize what I say, spot and stop abusive spiders, both sneaky spiders, the grooming, and then the obvious spiders, the overt abuse. And then also helping institutions construct systems so that they are less likely to hire and house abusive spiders. Okay, Brian, are you here in audio, if not in video, or should I just keep talking?
There we go. Can you hear me now? Oh,
I
my
can hear you
goodness.
now.
This is crazy. What's going on?
Oh, your
There we go.
audio's
Oh,
gone
I'm going to
too?
stop messing with the camera and we'll be done with that. So, my goodness. All right. So, fantastic. Yeah, and we're kind of concentrating on this spot a spider type theme here that we want to talk about. Also, this is in addition to helping young individuals, also professionals in the sporting arenas primarily, but it also can permeate into business as well, and in every age and genre of life. Is that a true statement?
Yeah, I mean, we see it everywhere, in bosses abusing employees, priests abusing parishioners, scout leaders abusing Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts. This is a good time to mention something that we talked about before. We tend to think of abusers as male, and while the vast percentage of them are male, I do want to point out that there are abusive women in these domains as well, and it's important to be able to recognize that. We have the Weinsteins and we have the very obvious cases, but I wanted people to be able to recognize it within their own environments where it may not be as blatant.
Mm. And that's where the true dangers lie, isn't it? When they're not blatant, they're like the very charismatic individuals who have. You were mentioning before we came on he's a unfortunately famous Jim. What do you call him? Teacher, coach.
Larry
That,
Nasser, the team doctor. Yeah.
yeah,
And
that's
he
like.
wasn't, he's interesting because he's, in my terminology, he's both a sneaky spider and an obvious spider. So he's a sneaky spider in his grooming. And you and I talked about, he not only groomed the athletes, he groomed the parents, he groomed the coaches, he groomed the clubs, he groomed the community. He was a trusted pillar in his community until he wasn't. And the way he was an obvious spider was in his obvious, very blatant sexual abuse. And this is where those young girls would have been well served by being able to tell their parents very specifically, the doctor touched me here, the doctor touched my breast, the doctor touched my buttocks or my vagina. Use very explicit, clear language so that they could communicate the appropriate level of abuse, and therefore generate the appropriate level of concern for the parents.
Yikes! That's just like, it's it's scary that this is all happening right now. And I look back and think about my kids who are both adults, wondering how much of this occurred, if any. And, did anybody bring it to anyone's attention? Did we just not see it? What would be some of the signals to parents that are not aware this is happening that can help them to be aware that, hey, there's something that's not right here?
So I want to talk about the sneaky spiders, the grooming, and the covert emotional abuse, because I think that's the easiest part to miss. And the first thing often that sneaky spiders do is they love bomb the child, and actually often even the parents. So love bombing can be anything from, a little touch on the shoulder, or like, you're one of my best gymnasts or one of my best football players. It can be little gifts. It can be individual texts instead of texting on the team channel. It can be extra time. It can be offering to give your kid a ride home. And most of us are trusting, and we want to believe that the people we entrust our children to are safe. And I would say 95% of the people we entrust our children to are safe, but I want people to be able to recognize the 5% who aren't. If someone gets suspicious about a sneaky spider, if an athlete or a student or a parent speaks up, usually the sneaky spider doesn't get defensive at first. Usually they get more charming and they say, oh, you can trust me. This is how all great coaches coach their best ice skaters. There's no reason for you to worry. And then what happens for the athlete and the parent is they're thinking, oh, well, maybe I was making it up, or maybe this guy's not so bad, or, maybe I was worrying over nothing. If people continue to push back, then the sneaky spider will get pretty defensive, and they'll kind of go on the attack, and they'll say, you don't know how good you have it, and you're so lucky to have me as a coach, and without me, you'd be nothing. And so they're playing on the athlete or the pianist or the actor's hopes and fears, right? The promise is, I can make your dreams come true. And then the fear is, if you leave me, your dreams won't come true. So if your child's experienced like big swings of hope and fear, that's of concern. Sometimes they brag. Sometimes if they're super sneaky, they'll brag and then say, oh, well, I would never say I'm a great coach, but so-and-so said I was a great coach, or whatever. Then if they get caught, they tend to lie and deny and defend their behavior. The other thing they tend to do is they tend to isolate people. So they have favorites and detractors. If, say, your child's teammate is raising concerns, the coach will say, oh, don't listen to your teammate. Your teammate's just jealous. She doesn't have what it takes to be great. If you as a parent are raising concerns, the coach may even try to get your child to doubt you. So they'll say, oh, your parent doesn't know what it takes to be great. And they're not being supportive. They're just thwarting your success. And really, you need to trust me. If you want to be great, you need to trust me. And you should disregard your parents. And it creates a fissure between the parent and the child. If an assistant coach raises a question, they may just dismiss the assistant coach and say the assistant coach doesn't know what he's talking about. Or if it's within their power, they'll fire someone who's starting to point out their behaviors. And the
Wow.
worst thing that they'll do is actually get the athlete to lie on their behalf. So the abusive spider will get the athlete to lie on their behalf. And there's a very terrible but telling story where there was a gymnastics coach, John Geddert. He was so abusive to one of his gymnasts that she attempted suicide.
Ugh.
And then when he found out about it, he showed no remorse. He wasn't apologetic. He didn't self-reflect. He was worried for his reputation. And he actually demanded not only that the gymnast lie and say that she had an allergic reaction. That was the explanation for why she missed practice. So he insisted that she lie about why she missed practice. But then he called the college coach who had offered this gymnast a scholarship and tried to get the college coach to lie and say that he had never contacted the girl and never offered the girl a scholarship. So when they get deceptive, they get really cruelly deceptive. But we want to catch it before in that early stage. If a coach is trying to be, in most cases, I don't want to say all cases, but in most cases, if a coach is trying to be more than a coach or a teacher is trying to be more than a teacher, you want to be suspicious. Certainly there are people out there who are really wanting to support people who may not have, supportive family life or whatever, but you want to be careful because those people are also more vulnerable.
Yeah, and I'm curious if you can help decipher more, like help people out, the parents especially. I used to coach youth kids. As a young man, I was in my 20s. I've always loved kids. I've always loved interacting with them, helping them, and coaching them in sports because I was a sports fanatic myself. I will never forget when I was in Parks and Recreation. I was a coach for a kids team. We were on one half of the basketball court, and there was another team on the other half. This is outdoor on asphalt. And the other team was being coached by a grown adult man, like 40s, 50s, somewhere around there. And all I could hear in the back of my head was him continually yelling at his kids, negative reinforcement. And that my philosophy from ground zero was positive reinforcement. My philosophy is if you are listening to me, if you are jumping off the correct foot when it's a layup, if you are giving everything you've got and you miss the basket, I'm not going to yell at you. I'm going to say, good job. You did everything you could. You gave it all you had. That's all I can ask. But the guy on the other end was chastising, in his eyes, failure. How does a parent discern just regular negative reinforcement from abusive type behavior? Are there like key elements they can look for?
Yeah, there's a couple things, but I think like if I was to give one nugget, and we gave it before, but we'll emphasize it again, it's would this behavior be okay in a classroom or a boardroom? And if the answer is no, then it's abusive coaching. And I was a competitive gymnast. I'm still do a lot of sports. Like, this isn't about asking your athletes to work hard, to give it their all, to push. Like, that's part of sport, but it's the tone and, like you said, the negativeness of it. And the other thing is, part of what we're learning is there's still this myth that that's what gets athletes to perform their best, but the science, the research actually tells us that it's not. That's not how you get the best performance out of your athletes. And if people want a more detailed explanation of how do you determine if your coach is demeaning, demanding, or supportive, I actually have a Psychology Today article, and I can give it to you, and you can put it in the show notes that goes through that.
Yeah, if you drop that into the chat at some point. I know we're in the midst of an interview here. I can copy and paste that, put in the comments. Everybody can see that instantly. Yeah, it's interesting. I kind of chuckled when you said, is it okay in the boardroom? Would that be okay? And I went immediately to back in my corporate life where I had a friend. I became a friend of this gentleman who was a manager, not mine, but a whole different team. And I happened to be in his building, in his office area this one day, and he had this whole team huddled around him, and he berated, I mean, horrifically, one individual, pulled him out and chastised him in front of all of his peers. And it was brutal. And I was in absolute shock because this is my friend. I'm like, oh my God, that's your leadership style? That is horrible. And yeah, sometimes that's the way people lead in business as well. And I
Right.
think
And
what you're
what's
talking about,
interesting about that is, first of all, it's isolating and humiliating that individual.
yeah,
And that's terrible. But then it's also ensuring that everybody else in the group is like, I am just going to shut up and toe the line because
yep,
I don't want to be the next one. And so it's creating a culture of fear, and
there
any
you go.
culture that's running on fear is an abusive culture.
And it's not going to be a very productive one. I've witnessed it too many times. I've been on this planet long enough that the best form of reinforcement is positive. Is discipline necessary? Of course, there are times where it is, but rarely. If you develop a culture that is proactive and positive, you'll find that people love working with you. I never say for you; I say with you. I make it a team environment, and they love helping and doing. They're going to make mistakes and you'll correct them, but I don't ever yell at anybody. Like, I know you're giving it your all. Mistakes will be made. We are human beings. Come on.
Right.
It's like, so we'll point it out only for the purpose of, we're all humans. We're like, I feel bad that I made a mistake, no matter if someone's yelling at you or not. So the odds of you making that same mistake a second time are much more diminished. And if you didn't get shamed over it, you don't feel crappy about it. You just know, I feel bad because of my own thinking of myself. I will do better next time. And so you just developed an incredibly powerful, positive culture that will do nothing but produce huge amounts of whatever you're looking for your entire team or your company, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I have two parallel stories that will go back to your football for a minute, and these stories are in my book. But in one game, the Arizona Cardinals and the Seattle Seahawks are playing. It comes down to field kicks for both. Both kickers miss their field goals, and by their stats for both of them, the field goals were easily makeable, like they should have been made. So the Cardinals coach is interviewed after the game and he says, this ain't high school. You got to make it, baby. That's what you get paid for. That's the Cardinals coach response. The Seattle Seahawks coach, Pete Carroll, who practices mindfulness, says, he's our guy. He's made great kicks for us all year. I know he's going to make more. We love him. And which kicker, the next time they go out, which kicker is going to be more relaxed, more at ease, more ready to bring their best? It's the Seahawks kicker. Yeah. Like that, the poor Cardinals kicker is going to be walking out there terrified that he's going to screw up and get berated again. And the Seahawks kicker knows that Pete Carroll loves him and has his back.
Yeah, Pete Carroll, Sean McVay, two incredible examples of positive reinforcement and how they can get the most out of their people that aren't necessarily the most talented. And that is it. It's all about mindset. I think you hit it. I mean, yeah, you said it exactly. The mindset, the kicker that's on the Arizona Cardinals, next time he goes up, he's going to have that coach voice in the back of his head as he swings his leg through the ball. Good luck. It's just it tears your confidence apart. And especially when it comes to kicking, that's all you have. You have confidence or you don't. If you don't have it, you're not gonna live long in that industry. They get fired all the time. And so, yeah.
Right. And it's the same with your friend's employee. Like, they're going to freeze up. They're going to have a great idea, but they're not going to feel safe to bring it to the group because they just don't want to get harassed again. You're losing creativity, you're losing teamwork, you're losing trust when you interact, when you coach, when you manage that way.
Yeah. Oh, hey, we got a buddy of mine, Robert Silverman. Hey, good afternoon. Sorry I'm late. I love it. He says, imagine the closer for the Arizona Diamondbacks when he lost the game to the Yankees in the World Series 2 times. Yeah. It's like these things can just have lasting effects. Robert Silverman is an amazing man. If you ever need to buy or sell a home, this guy goes to the mat for you. He was my personal realtor. I cannot recommend anyone. I kid you not, higher than him. Well, there's also one on the other side that was the buying agent for us over here. That she was phenomenally awesome as well. But Robert went through hell and back for us because we all went through hell and back. And he went through the harder part of it. And I appreciate you, Robert. Thank you for coming on, brother, and for communicating and engaging. Love having you on. You're an amazing, amazing man, and I appreciate you and love you, brother. So I wanted to, Amy, I want to give you an opportunity real quick before we end, before I forget, is I want to elevate you and your business. I want you to have the ability and the opportunity to talk about what it is you do when it comes to spotaspider.com. And so what I want to do is I'll pull it up as a visual, your website, and let it scroll nice and gently as you, if you're okay with this, explain what it is you do. Who is your target market? We kind of have an idea, but it'd be good to hear it. And then if you have a success story or two you'd like to share, I know everyone would love to hear that as well. Would that be okay?
Perfect.
Oh, cool.
So the target market, or a target market for Spot a Spider, the primary target market is parents who want to empower their children, teens, and young adults to recognize grooming and abuse and to have the language to share concerns. The secondary market is coaches, schools, churches, community organizations who want to ensure that they don't hire and retain spiders. And so there, in addition to the videos, there are a lot of free resources on the resources page. So there's discussion questions for both videos. There's codes of ethics for organizations that are written in both kids speak and adult speak. There are anonymous participant, it says athlete, but anonymous participant surveys, so that if you run a club or a league and you want to find out what your, again, I'll use athletes, are experiencing with a coach, then you can get that feedback and find out if there are any concerning behaviors. There are policies and procedures for how to set up your organization to, again, minimize the risk of hiring and retaining spiders. And so, example, there's also a conduct agreement. And although I wish it wasn't true, at least if a spider comes to your organization and they have to go through all these steps to be hired, they'll be like, these people know what they're doing and they're not going to let me get away with what I want to get away with. Yeah. So I'm at least not going to try to apply for a job here. They may go down the street. I hope to eventually cover all the down the streets so that they don't go anywhere, but we're working on that.
That's fun. Kudos, and I applaud you for that. Oh my gosh. Yeah, policies and procedures to help filter out the undesirables, that I would call them.
Exactly.
Interesting that there's a lot of parallels here with just business. Like even when you want to hire employees or VAs, is you want to filter out those that don't have the proper mindset, that don't have it. You know what I've learned over the years, it's not so much about experience as it is about mindset and ability to gel with your culture. And if either of the latter two are missing, experience means nothing. They could be the best website developer on the planet, but if they are not a mesh with you, your culture, your value system, they're going to be more of a cancer than they are a benefit. And you can always train somebody that has that great desire, that great mindset and culture to become a phenomenal website designer. That's just an example I'm using, but I've learned that over the years that experience is not where it's at. It's really about mindset, where one is, and what are your intentions? That's what I think. That's the overall overriding word here is intentions. Are you going to be one of those spiders? Or are you going to be someone who's on the up and up?
Right. And there are simple questions, and maybe they'll be sneaky and not answer them well, but even simple things like how do you deal with an athlete who's scared? How do you deal with an employee who raises questions? If they kind of give you a my way or the highway answer, that's of concern. So those types of things can be, you can build these into your hiring process.
Yes, thank you. And I've developed complete surveys where I ask the questions where I'll know before I even meet the person, or even if I will meet the person, if they are going to meet my grade, without being in their face about it. It's just simple questions that say, hey, I'm without even having to tell them, I'm determining if you're going to be a fit on the front. So there's some great things you can do to save yourself a lot of time as a business owner, as a parent, as a school person that's responsible for hiring and firing these individuals that will have, reign over your kids during their sporting career. All of this.
And I mean, if you talk about business, one of the business aspects of this is like, it's minimizing your risk and minimizing your liability. If you can take the policies and procedures on Spot a Spider and you can say, I've done all these things, then to me, you told me you just moved to Florida. And in Florida, the insurance law is if you have a pool and you have a alarm on your door and a gate around the pool and a cover on the pool, then even if some drunk teenager crawls over your fence and drowns, you can show that you went above and beyond to minimize the risk. If you're an organization, especially a youth serving organization, but I would say any organization that can show that they followed all the policies and procedures on the Spot a Spider policies and procedures, then if something were to happen, which we're hoping it won't, you can say, look, we took all these steps. We did everything we could have possibly done to minimize the risk of abuse in our organization.
I love it. Yeah. And you said it too well. I can't add anything to it. That's perfect. So I wanted to, for our podcast listeners, make it clear where you can go to get this vital information. It's spotaspider.com. If you go there, what would be their next step, Amy? Or is there a certain place to connect with you, or what would you say is their next logical step?
I hope the website's pretty intuitive. The how to spot a sneaky spider, which is how to spot grooming, and the how to spot an obvious spider, which is how to spot obvious abuse. The videos are on the first page. The one thing that we haven't talked about is if you are a school or you're a sports organization and you become a Spot a Spider affiliate and you say to all your parents, hey, look, we want you to watch this with your kids at home, I will donate 20% back to your organization. So I want to support organizations that are protecting their participants from abuse. And that's my commitment to giving back. The other way for organizations like schools or churches or sports organizations to do this is to have a community viewing. And they can do that with me or without me, but they can show it to their whole community. They can have a discussion. There are discussion questions there for them to talk about with their community so that they can protect everyone.
Fantastic. And one quick question by our good friend Robert Silverman. He said, Dr. Saltzman, question for you. Is there a good way to talk to your children about how to deal with the emotional abuse and to stop it from escalating in a school setting?
Yeah, I want to know, Robert, are you talking about emotional abuse by adults, or Brian and I were also talking about bullying earlier before we got on? So I just want to clarify before I answer.
Good. While we wait for that response, because there's a slight delay on these lives. Hey, did you notice I got my video back? I was pretty proud of that. A lot
Way
of
to
clicking
go.
and hunting and
It's
pecking to
nice
get
to know you're here.
that. You could carry it all by yourself. I have every faith
Well,
in
I
you.
did. I've had these moments where it's like, oh, he's gone, so I'll just keep talking till he comes back.
That's a sign of a true professional. Kudos to you. So Robert said yes, fellow
Fellow
classmates.
Yeah. So this is a whole nother topic that we might do another session on, but there's a lot of information on bullying, which is also called relational aggression or emotional abuse. And I really feel like it's the adult's responsibility to recognize it and to recognize that usually the kids who are doing the bullying are doing it out of insecurity. It doesn't excuse their behavior, but it does mean that those kids, as well as the kids who are bullied, need support. I have completely separately, and so if you want to email me, Robert, I have a completely separate team building bullying prevention curriculum that I created because my daughter was being bullied on a soccer team, and I didn't deliver it to that particular team because it was too close to home. A wonderful, wonderful man from the Positive Coaching Alliance delivered it to the team. Unfortunately, the bullying was really coming from the top, in that the coach was having the girls compete against each other rather than with each other. And he didn't embrace the principles that I had offered through this guy from the Positive Coaching Alliance. But if you want help with that, just email me and we can talk about it and talk about finding someone to educate the adults to prevent it. And then if your child or a child needs support because they have been bullied or because they are bullying, we can talk about those options as well.
Is it okay if we verbally give your email address?
Of course.
All right. So that is Dr. Amy, stands for Dr. Amy, not Dreamy. Dr. Amy at stillquietplace.com. Yes, that is another one of her business offerings that she has, a stillquietplace.com. But Dr. So Dr. Amy, all one word, at stillquietplace.com. If you want to get in touch with the amazing Dr. Amy Saltzman, that is one other great way to go. And I see comments still. Oh, he said, thank you very much. I appreciate this. He's got a great heart. I got to tell you, he's an amazing young man. And so we are about to close up this show, and there is a gift. I displayed the little banner there earlier, but I want to be sure that everyone realizes that we're giving away a 5-night vacation stay at a 5-star luxury resort, compliments of our sponsor, Reach Your Peak. And did you have it wasn't clear if you had a gift about free videos or something, Amy, that I want to make sure they got, or was that from your website?
I'd be happy to offer a audio mindfulness practice that you can share with your group.
Fantastic. So would they just reach out to your email address and say, I would like that that way?
Yeah, we'll probably find a way to put it up on your website just so I don't have to individually send it to everybody.
Very good. We'll talk about that after the fact. So fantastic. So stick with us. We have one final question, Amy, and this is it's a doozy in a good way, and that is, I ask this question periodically, randomly, sporadically. This show's been going on for over right around 5 years. And I started recognizing the answers were profound. And I finally said, my gosh, I got to ask this of everybody. So it is now my closing question of every show. And with your permission, later down the road, I would like to include your answer into a collaborative book by the very title of the question that I'm about to ask you. And so that'll give you even more exposure. I know you don't want that or desire that. But the thing is, it's a very profound and powerful question. It's very slightly in a way personal, but not really. And I know I'm building it up pretty good. And the thing is, before we go to that, real quick, I do want to give away this prize, a 5-night vacation stay at a 5-star luxury resort, because it's an amazing prize. Many people have taken it. I have a good buddy who has actually used this twice and said, no, you're not whisked away to the basement and water drip tortured and asked to buy a timeshare. Nothing like that. You are treated as if you are a full paying resort visitor. It's phenomenal. So I'm gonna put that on screen. Write this down. Don't go there. This is going to be URL. Write it down and then visit the URL after the show's over. We'll be monitoring. It'll be fine, because I don't want you to miss. I want you to stay in the room. I don't want you to miss the answer Amy has for this amazing question. So real quick, let me pull up the information, write this down, and then enter to win after we say goodnight on this show. The URL you want to write down right now is ryp.im/vacation, all lowercase. So it's RYP, stands for Reach Your Peak, sponsors, .im/vacation. Write that down and enter to win after the show closes. And I cannot wait to see who the lucky winner is. So, Dr. Amy Saltzman, we have one final question. Here's the beautiful thing about it. There is no such thing as a wrong answer.
Awesome.
It doesn't exist. It's not a test. It's cool because, in fact, the exact opposite is the case. Is the only correct answer is yours, because it'll be unique to you. That's the only thing that makes it personal. So now you can like relax on that too, and still go, my God, but I'm getting curious, so I'm still like amped up.
I am curious.
And so, with all that build up, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Dr. Amy Saltzman, how do you define success?
Peace in your heart, healthy, loving relationships, and being of service.
Straight to the point, perfect, because it was your answer, and beautiful. And so you're going to take up maybe a paragraph in the book, and it will be a powerful paragraph. It'll be a chapter in its own right. And it didn't matter. The length, the time it took you to come, all of it was perfect. Every single person is. Here's one observation I have that is truly remarkable. Not a single, I've been doing this quite some time, not two people, no two people have answered it exactly the same way yet. And the other very intriguing part is not one person, not one, named anything to do with money as being their primary definition of success. Not one, not a single person, which blows my mind in a great way. I am so happy for humanity that this is how this is going. And that's because I get to interview successful entrepreneurs. That is the soul of all of us. We just would love to help and serve others. You just said it right there. So I appreciate you, Amy. You are a blessing to all you are helping. Oh my gosh, we still have more comments coming in. We got to close it up. I love it. It was just a funny. So I appreciate you. I appreciate Robert, everyone who came on to watch, who have been engaging. Amy, is there one final parting thought you'd like to leave all these amazing people with, both who are watching live, who are going to watch it recorded, who are going to listen to it on 35 podcast platforms? Is there any final parting words of wisdom you'd like to leave everyone with before we say goodnight?
Yeah, I think I would say take good care of yourself. Take good care of your friends and family. Take good care of your extended family, meaning our communities. And watch out for sneaky spiders.
Take care and watch out for those sneaky spiders. I love it. Dr. Amy Saltzman, on behalf of this amazing young lady, I am Brian Kelly, the host of the Mind Body Business Show. I cannot wait to see you all again on the next episode. Until then, please do at least two things. And that is, one, go out and continue to crush it in your business and serve more people, scale and grow and serve more. Number two, above and beyond all else, please be blessed, everyone. That is it for us tonight here. We love you. We are appreciative of you, and we will see you again next time. That's it. Take care for now. So long, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Mind Body Business Show podcast at www.themindbodybusinessshow.com. My name is Brian Kelly.